Who would have thought that Dawn could throw such an epic falcon punch? Greetings, my friends! It's time to see if the children will escape in another episode of The Promised Neverland. Before I get into my review, I'm going to give a shameless plug-in to a review that I just worked on. I just did my big review on Dragon Ball Super Broly, the brand new Dragon Ball Super movie. I worked my ass off on it, and I really want you guys to check it out. There will be a link for that video in the description box below. The Promised Neverland is an anime series which I think is going to be built upon the foundation of the cliffhanger ending. Sometimes it's going to pay off, and other times it's just going to be a big old middle finger. That's kind of the feeling that I got from the beginning of this episode, as the last one ended with Dawn and Gilda about to be caught going into Isabella's room, and it just happened to be Phil, the annoying little kid. It wasn't Krone, it wasn't Isabella, and it certainly wasn't some weird, giant, clawed demon monster. It is kind of disappointing in that sense, but it actually does work out because we finally get to go into the inner, deeper depths of Isabella's office, which is filled to the brim with all sorts of children's toys, which belong to all of these kids, which have now ended up on the menu. I have to say, despite the fact that Dawn comes across as a thick-headed, stupid character, he can be surprisingly crafty. The way that they were able to sneak into this room is because he just casually bumps into Isabella and steals the secret key from her. Gilda's basically just along for the horror ride, and that's when they discover the terrible truth. They find Little Bunny, the doll that belonged to Connie, and Dawn puts two and two together, and he realizes that Norman, Emma, and Ray have actually been lying to them. And of course, that's when he decides to confront them, but before they can leave, they're almost caught by Isabella. Luckily, they manage to escape at just the last second, and they even manage to leave the key behind with a small child who ends up returning it to Isabella, of course, clearing them of any sort of danger. However, things get incredibly intense when Dawn and Gilda actually confront Emma, Norman, and Ray, and they demand the truth. And when they learn it, Dawn does not take it well. He ends up punching the fuck out of Norman and Ray, and I have to say, it makes sense. He's like the biggest kid in this place. He's definitely going to be able to throw some punches around. But he has so many mixed emotions here. The fact that he was lied to, the fact that Connie is dead, and most importantly, the frustration he feels over not being trusted by his friends. He feels that he's looked down upon because he's not as bright as the other kids, and he feels that they didn't have any faith in him in order to tell them the truth about what's really going on here. It really frustrates the hell out of him. Luckily, Emma, Norman, and reluctantly Ray decide to make up for their error of their ways by making up with Dawn and Gilda and officially bringing them into the escape team. I loved this scene. It was heartwarming. It established the fact that these kids see each other as siblings, and I loved the moment with Ray, as you could tell that he was incredibly pissed off over being punched, but at the same time, he knows the importance of Dawn and Gilda being a part of this group and manages to go along with them, but not before noticing that someone seems to be watching them. Could it be Isabella? Could it be Krone? Could it be a creepy giant demon? The good news is you're not going to have to wait long. You actually get your answer at the very end of the episode, but before we get to that, I have to say, for being kids who grew up in an orphanage with very little information, these kids are clever as hell. They come up with some amazing plans throughout the course of the entire episode in order to trick Isabella. Not only that, but they're actually able to decipher this secret Morse code that they find in their library, something that Emma decides to bring up to Norman and Ray. There are all these books in the library which have these little owl emblems on them, and it's from this author who goes by the name of William Minerva. And William has actually been leaving these messages behind for any person who could find them and decipher them, and it's all about the fact that this is a farm where children are raised as food and they have the potential to escape. This is probably the most important scene of the entire episode aside from the cliffhanger ending, and I really appreciated it as it gives me hope to know that these kids could escape and there could be a place for them in the outside world, and the potential to meet this person, William Minerva, who's probably going to be pretty important to the story, or they're probably just worm food. If anything, it's a ray of hope for the young children, and they end up coming up with another plan. Norman and Ray actually decide that they're going to trick Isabella by having Ray feed her some false information about the fact that Norman is actually trying to kill her, and he's procuring all of these items in order to poison her. But again, Isabella always has another trick up her sleeve and decides to go along with the plan, even revealing that it's only a matter of time before even Ray himself is shipped out. While all of this is going on, Norman, Emma, Gilda, and Dawn are trying to plan their escape as they're walking around in the woods getting ready to go to that big giant wall, when suddenly, out of nowhere, Krone just appears, dancing wildly with a big smile on her face, and makes the bold declaration that she knows exactly what these kids are doing and that she's been spying on them the entire time. She saw them in the mess hall, she saw them the night before, and now the shit has officially hit the fan. So what's the rundown on this episode of The Promised Neverland? This entire episode was just tense as hell. Whether it was Isabella creeping up on Dawn and Gilda, or the big revelation about William Minerva, or that big final scene with Krone. That's kind of like a game changer moment right there. I wonder how the children are actually going to handle this situation. My guess is they're just going to play it off as they're in the woods having fun, just acting like normal kids, and they're going to try and trick Krone. But I don't know how they're going to talk their way out of that situation of them having that big conversation in the mess hall or appearing at night. It's very evident that they're planning something, so I can't wait to see how they're going to get out of this sticky situation. As for Krone doing this, I'm not sure what her full motivation is actually going to be, and I have to say that Sister Krone is just such a wild, crazy, and animated villain for the show. Every single time she's around, she absolutely just chews on the scenery, and she's just so fun to watch. She somehow manages to be kind of funny and absolutely terrifying all at the same time, and I really can't wait to see how she's going to grill these kids. Not saying she's going to eat them, but, you know, this is a series where people eat kids. I also really love how this episode is managing to expand on the world with the introduction of this William Minerva character, and I even love the scene where Emma apparently does have a very realistic plan for getting everybody out of this place, but they don't really explain it quite yet. It's ultimately going to be some sort of distraction with Mother Isabella, and it might even be tied to this whole plan of Norman having Ray create all these like fake scenarios where she's going to be poisoned, but I don't know, that's just all speculation on my part. What I will say is this was another great episode, which of course had me at the edge of my seat the entire time, and had a massive cliffhanger ending, which unlike this episode right here, I really hope is going to have some massive payoff. Like I said, I think it could be a game changer for the series. So there it is, that's my thoughts on this episode. I absolutely loved it. I'm giving it a 5 out of 5. This is definitely one of the best shows of the season, and you guys definitely need to check it out. If any of you did watch the episode, tell me what you thought about it in the comment section below. Make sure to tell me what your favorite parts of the episode were, and what do you think is going to happen in the confrontation with Krone? Are they actually going to be caught by this woman? Are they going to trick her somehow? What do you hope to see as they try to escape? We are only 1 week away from the big escape plan. So there it is. Let's just get a discussion going about this episode in the comment section below, and like I said at the very beginning, make sure to check out my review of Dragon Ball Super Broly. I will see you all next time, and as always, stay down there, baby.